What is the issue in SNS while creating a macro? Is it? I can show you.
Uh, yeah,
Like,
we have macros, if then else statement, right? What
uh-huh.
is the difference
Hmm.
between the macro if we use macro
Hmm.
outside the if then else statement, and instead of using what is the difference between if then else statement and percentage if percentage else then?
Hmm. See, normally, the difference is whenever you use any person sign for any SNS, it's your that is a macro, and you can directly go for the parameters in that. You can directly schedule the parameters. It's like you're writing the complete query in percentage. Percent if then else is a macro language again that's specified. Normal if then else is within a data. I mean that's a data query that you write. You can also pass on the parameters there itself. But when it comes to a macro language, the macro language with if then else is always with a percent sign that you know. You always prefix everything with a percent sign. So the keywords, whatever you have in if then else inside a macro will be always with a percent if. So the complete query if you write in macros, that is an automated query which will also help you to run the parameters for different scenarios for multiple options if you had. Wherein just an if then else within the data will be only limited to that particular data. It will not have any effect outside.
Okay.
So that is why
If
we write all the queries with percent sign for if then else.
okay.
That's it. So, going ahead and talking about macros, what is a macro according to you? What do you think a macro is? How it can be utilized and how it is more efficient?
For some programs we need to do daily tasks, and for that we need to write the code again and again, same code again and again.
Hmm.
Instead of writing the same code again and again, we can use the code in macro.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, and it saves time and it saves steps. That is.
Okay. So how do you do that? How do you do that? While obviously by using parameters only you do that, right?
You are asking how to create a macro variable and call it, or
Calling is also okay, but parameters. If you are telling me about the automation done is done only with the parameters. That you can pass on the parameters to avoid repetition of your code or the syntax.
okay, okay.
Right. So for that we create parameters. Let's say my code is of 100 lines for one set of columns. Now that same code needs to be repeated for all the numeric columns by default. So obviously I will not repeat my 100 code trees for every variable, right? So I will just put that one code as it is and I will create a macro parameter for all and then I will just pass on my parameters for different columns.
Yeah, yeah.
That is a part of, that is the most efficient job that we do in macros by using the parameters. So talking in terms of your introduction part of macros, it is nothing but SAS macro variables that you might be knowing. So these macro variables will enable you to substitute the text in your SAS programs. So macro variables means, let's say if I create percent let name equals to so and so, so I can pass on that or I can substitute that text in my SAS program, right? That is one of the meanings. So now macro variables, it will supply a variety of information like including your operating system information, then your SAS session information, then any of the text strings with your passing. So it involves all this information as well. Now, whenever we refer a macro variable in a SAS program, so SAS will replace the reference with the text value that has been assigned to the macro variable. You are aware of this already, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So now by substituting the text into the programs, SAS macro variable will make your programs more reusable and dynamic. Agree? Whenever we pass on anything, we can keep on passing the same for the subsequent programs as well. Therefore, my data is becoming more reusable and dynamic as well. Now,
Yeah.
so let's look at a code and see how this usually works. When you want to quickly change and enable something or easily change the value of your, let's say, every time you want to pass on a value. So how does that work? Let's say, for example, I define a macro for a year and I start using it. Let's say I write %let year value is 2002. %let is one of the methods to create your macro variable. What are the different methods to create macro variable? Another different method?
By using percentage macro and percentage ment.
Ment, what else?
You asked me about variable or only
how to create macro variable?
Percentage let.
Percentage do also you can use, percentage macro also you can use, calls input also you can use, into clause also you can use, right? So there are 4 to 5 methods.
What was the last one you said?
Into clause by using proc SQL. Into clause. I will definitely do that one. Like proc SQL and select some page into So what happens is here whatever you see now I have done a sum of age, let's say, and the value should be saved in a macro variable. So this SA is any name is a macro variable by using this into clause in SQL. In SQL if you use an into clause is used to create a macro variable. So give a space and use a colon and a macro name. Don't give a space after a colon. Okay, just write it together. Colon and you can give a macro name where you want to save this sum of age. So now anywhere you can call this ampersand SA which is having the sum of age. Let's say sum of age was 253. Now 253 is inside this macro variable and you can call this macro variable anywhere in your report generation or anywhere to it.
Okay.
One of the methods. So into clause is another method of creating your macro variable. Got it?
Got it.
Now, so %let year is 2002. So now let's say I have given a value of X value of year 2002. So yeah, I think you might be knowing that macros understands which type of data by default.
Can you repeat that one last? Yeah.
Macros understands which type of data.
Character.
Character. Okay. Let's say अगर मैं ऐसे लिखती हूँ, if I write %let ABC equals okay. What should be the output of ABC?
The whole thing.
As it is considered as a text value.
Yeah,
okay.
As it basically replaces ABC and then the value in it while running the program.
What should be the value of X?
10 plus 20.
As it is. If you want evaluated value for this?
Percentage evaluate function.
Or if you want a floating value, then you can use %sys eval function. You know that, right?
Sys evaluate, I don't know.
Evaluate is another form of evaluate. Like evaluate will just give you the integer value. Let's say if you are dividing something, let's say 10 divided by 3 if you are doing. If you use %eval, it will give you just 3 in the output. Okay, if you want even the decimal value 3.33, then you can use %sys eval like this. %sys eval. You can use this if you want the floating values as well.
Okay.
%eval will give you only integer value. If you want floating values, you can use %sys eval.
There is no F right over there.
F is there. %SYSEVALF.
Okay.
It is there. Okay?
Okay.
Fine. Now, so my year value is 2002 here and I am just printing the data SAS user.schedule and where year of begin date. What do you understand by year of begin date? Let me open schedule data. This is my schedule data. You have a column called as begin date, and I am writing my program as the year of begin date. What do you mean by that?
Only year.
You're using year function, date function to extract only the year value from begin date equals to ampersand year. That means you're looking for only year which is equals to, what is the value evaluated?
Beginning date of year.
Which year? Ampersand year value is what?
It will be basically whatever the year is present in the beginning date.
Which is that year? Whatever you have assigned earlier.
2002.
That means you are looking for year of the variable called as begin date, wherever it is 2002. That's what you have initialized, right? Yeah. Percent year is this. Yeah. So obviously ampersand year value is 2002. So you want to extract only the year from the begin date wherever it is matches to 2002. Okay. And title I am writing scheduled classes for ampersand year. Is this okay for you?
Yeah, I'm good.
And let's say if I give this in single quotations, what will be the title now?
No, you should not use double quotes for a title when you use macro. So earlier would be wrong.
You should not use double quotes, right?
Yeah. This is right. The later one is right. Yeah.
Okay, let's run it. Whatever you're getting in the output data is right, but is your title right?
Yeah.
Title is right, it is giving you ampersand here, that's it, as a text. Yeah. It should be 2002, no? Yeah. Resolved value? Yeah. You told me vice versa. You should be using double quotes for macros to resolve.
Okay.
Macros will resolve only in double quotation, otherwise it will consider ampersand as a text value if you give it in single quotation. Am I right?
Yes.
Now you can see title is scheduled classes for 2002, that is the resolved value, and then whatever data you are getting, that is only for the year 2002. Okay? Clear?
Yeah, clear.
Okay. This was one of the examples of passing the text value and how does it evaluate that. Now, similarly, if you want to use this year value, any of the functions, let's say proc means if I want to use this function, I will be just writing any code and taking this value because this is a global or local. Percent whatever I have created.
This is global.
This is global. So you can call this anywhere.
Yes.
Right. So I'm writing a proc means data. SAS user is all, and I just want the sum of that. Where year of begin date is ampersand year, class is location, variable is some title I'm using. So similarly, you can use an ampersand here in any of the other procedures, any of the other functions, data step programming, anything, because it's global. So you can pass on that macro variable and you can use it in any of the other programming SAS data step as well. Okay? Now this is giving you the proc means and a sum value only for the 2002 year. Okay?
Okay.
So the class is nothing but a category location and your variable is a key column and only for the year 2012. So you can see that for the locations Dallas, Seattle and Boston, the fee courses, how many number of observations are there and total sum of that. So for Boston there are 27 people and their total fees is so and so. For 43 the fees is so and so and for 18 the fees will be so and so.
Okay.
Only for the year 2002.
2000.
Okay. Now, macro variables. Macro variables are again a part of your SAS macro facility, and which is a tool for extending and customizing SAS and for reducing the amount of program code you must enter in order to perform any common task. Okay. Now, the macro facility has its own language, of course, and which will enable you to package small or large amounts of text into units that have some names. Okay. Now, from that point on, we can work with the names rather than the text itself. Fine. So, macro variable will be now used in that. So, there are two types. One is automatic macro variables which are provided by SAS. Another one is user-defined macro variable whose values we create and define. Two types. Okay. Now, whether automatic or user-defined, A macro variable is independent of a SAS data set, okay, and it contains one text string value that remains constant until you change it. Keep these points in mind. Okay, now the value of a macro variable is substituted into your program wherever the macro variable is referenced. And this is what we have seen as of now. Now, the value of a macro variable is stored in a symbol table at the back end, and whenever you try to execute that, so now the values of automatic macro variables are always stored in the global symbol table. Fine? Automatic macro variables, and meaning that these values are always available in your SAS session, global, whatever you are creating. And the values of user-defined macro variables are often stored in the global symbol table. It's not limitation that it cannot be, but sometimes it can store in your global symbol table as well. But normally it is stored in a symbol table only, macro variable value. But automatic macro variables are always stored in a global symbol table because they are always available. But often, sometimes it can also store your other macro variable values. Okay. Now, so let's see how does it work. Okay. Let us assign some global values, and we can refer that macro variable. Okay. So %flex location is, let's say, Dallas, and %flex date is 5 Jan 2000. %flex amount is 975, and let student underscore company is Eastman Developers. So these are my macro variables which I have created. Now we have to refer these macro variables. So to refer this macro variable, let's say amount value we have from the global symbol table that is represented above, and we can place ampersand amount in your program. So let's say now it is in global symbol table. So when you refer them and when you call them, it will be, let's say I'm creating a new data set is anything. Let's say for example whatever set you are taking, where C is greater than ampersand amount. That means where C is greater than 975 and print that. This is how we are creating it globally. It is present in global symbol table, and whenever you refer it, it will be called from there because it is always available. Same thing, whatever you have done with the %flex and you try to explain, it is the same thing that everything is present in the global symbol table and you are fetching the information from that. Okay. Now, in a title, as I told you, whenever you reference a macro variable in a title, then it should be always in double quotation marks to enclose the title text in the title statement. Okay, that I have already told you. Fine?
Yeah.
Now, using automatic macro variables, as you know, these are created by the SAS system itself, and it's nothing but giving the information about the computing environment and such as date, time of the session, version of the session that you are running, etc. So many other information is nothing but when you are created when a SAS is invoked. Okay. Then global, which are always available, usually assigned values by SAS, and it can be assigned values by the user in some cases. So it will list you all the information, the automatic macro variables. So which are those automatic macro variables? One will be which all do you know by default or system generated automated macro variables?
This date, this day, this time.
Okay, we will show some. So let's say footnote 1 is created ampersand systime sysdate 9, and I'm giving in double quotes. Footnote 2 is on the ampersand SCP system using release ampersand sysper. Title is revenues for Dallas Training Center, and I'm just writing a tablet procedure. So let's now focus only on the footnote 1 and footnote 2. So we know sys time will nothing but time of the day, right? Sys day will be day of the week, and sys date 9 will be day, month and year value, and sys SCP, SYS is nothing but the operating environment, and sysver is release of the SAS, which version you are using. Okay. There is also something called as sys last. If I say ampersand sys last, which is nothing but the most recently created data set. It will get you that name. Okay. So now if we run this, Then you can see the footnote as created on. It is giving you time and the week of the day, and then it is giving you the whatever date that is there for that particular data. On the VIM, that is what the Windows system, and using release of 9.3, and this last is nothing but this is my last data set playlist created.
Okay.
Okay, so if you want these information, this is system generated, you can always write that as a title or a
That is last session data set or current session last data set?
it won't give you whatever the last one. It will give you that. See, I have not terminated my SAS. So the current session only the last one created, not the last session.
Okay.
If you terminate your session, no, then it will not have any information.
Okay.
I have not terminated my session. Like I don't do it on a regular basis. So it is just taking by default the yesterday's one I have created. But normally, if you terminate and start, let's say today you just started, you have not filled any data. So it will give you a data null.
Okay.
Right? It will give you data null if you have not created anything for today's session.
Okay. It will show in log window?
Yeah, it will show you data null.
Okay.
Data underscore null underscore. Okay? Okay. Okay, so when you create something as let's say user-defined macro variable, let me talk about only %let as of now. So %let, if you create any user-defined macro variable, let's say if I give %let time equals to afternoon. Afternoon is my value which I am giving for a macro variable. So the things which we must know about this is, first of all, as you know, all values are stored as character strings. Second is mathematical expressions are not evaluated. Third is the case of the value is preserved, whatever you write, it is preserved.
Whether it is upcase or
right. And then quotation marks that enclose literals. Literals means any text are stored as part of the value. Let's say if I give anything in quotation, that will be stored as it is with the quotations. If I give afternoon in quotation, it will be giving me a value of afternoon with quotations only, right?
Yeah.
Finally, leading and trailing blanks are removed from the value before the assignment is made. Okay. Now, how do you display the macro variable values in SAS log? By which option?
Percentage put.
I'm talking about values, resolved values for any parameter value. You have heard about the debugging option conversion, right?
Yeah.
So that will display you the macro variable value in the SAS log.
Oh, log. You asked me in log.
Yeah. It will, the conversion system will option. That option is used to monitor the value that is substituted for a macro variable. Okay. And %put, as we know, it is to write your own message to the SAS log, and not only the result but to write your own message also. So the put statement writes only to the SAS log. It always writes to a new log line starting in column 1, and it also writes a blank line if text is not specified, and it does not require any quotation marks around text, and also it resolves macro triggers in text before the text is written, as we know, and removes leading and trailing blanks from the text unless a macro quoting function is used. And it wraps lines also when the length of text is greater than the current line size setting. And what else? It can be used either inside or outside a macro. %put, clear?
Okay.
Fine. Now, normally whatever we have created, try to run that with the %put. We have done an ampersand location we have already given here, right? The last addition on this. And in %put I am just writing it anywhere outside. So the value of macro variable location is :ampersand location. Let's see how does it work. So the value of macro variable location is ls, right? So it is also used to add a text, and also it is resolving whatever the macro parameter you have passed on.
Okay.
Right? It just shows you all the concepts which I just told you for %put.
Okay.
Now, now let me tell you what is the difference in macro quoting functions whenever you give it in quotes. Okay. So normally SAS programming language, it uses some matched pairs of either double quotes or single quotes to distinguish character constants from names. Okay. Now, for example, we will take an example in which I will show you what's happening. So you can see this program. I have written a var, data is 1, whereas I am giving txt in single quotes, then I am giving text variable again and giving the data as an example. var2 is some text value and printing it. Okay, what do you think should be the output of this? Take your own time, read this correctly, and let me know what is the value that you understand. What will be the var value?
Var is text.
Okay, then?
Text is example. So var2 will be
Can I run and show you?
will be example.
Clear what has happened here?
Example.
Why it is taking var2 as example again?
Since text is equal to example, right?
Already. So you are just taking that. That's why it is understanding. This is all about how SAS is understanding your data. Okay.
Okay.
So if you give the same variable as your data, it will just give you the value of that because that is already been defined in the PDB.
Yeah.
Right? This is how the understanding of SAS is happening here. Now, let's say for example, if I try to print something with apostrophe, let's say John single apostrophe S and then report. Let's try to print this. So title works properly for us. As of now, this is how a base SAS understands and gives you the output. Okay. So what is happening is here the title string, whatever we have given in this example, John's report, although this title statement contains a matched pair of double quotation marks. Okay, the title itself does not include these outer quotation marks. So the outer quotation marks cause the unmatched single quotation mark within the text to be interpreted as an apostrophe. That is a part of the title. So normally what will happen is when you print this, so SAS sometimes gets confused that it has to end at your single apostrophe or a double apostrophe because you have a matched pair of quotes as of now. Okay. Given as double quotes. Within that you have a single quote. But this is not the case in macros. Because for macro, single and double, everything is same. Until and unless you are resolving a particular macro value. So this is just the differences that they are showing, how it is going to be. That's why they are making it clear first in base. And then the same if you run in macros, how it is going to be.
Okay, can you show me
output?
Yeah.
John's report. It will include apostrophe.
It is working right here.
It's working in base. Because you have a matched quotation, right? That's what you have given in double quotes. You have a matching quotation. Otherwise, यहाँ पे single देते. Okay? Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
If I give single, then you see what has happened. It has taken the complete thing as your report.
Okay.
It's not working here. It's taking run, proc print, title and everything again.
Okay.
The complete text is because you have a matched pair of codes, it is working well. If not, then it will consider your remaining thing, everything as a part of your data itself.
Okay. Can you show me with macros?
Macros we will see. We have a lot of examples with this. Because you have to use different function with macros. So when we are using that function, I will show you how to work with these apostrophes. Okay.